Watch closely because in this moment, one of these women has just 6 hours left to live. And the person sitting across from her, the one smiling, has already sealed her fate. By sunrise, this same suit will be crawling with paramedics. One woman will be gone, the other screaming so hard the walls shake. What killed 28-year-old Lucia Fernandez wasn't money, power, or even betrayal from a stranger. It came from someone Anesh trusted completely, someone who said, "I love you every single day. Stay with me until the end because the truth behind Lucia's final 6 hours will make your blood run cold." Before tragedy to touch their lives, Lucia Fernandez and Patricia Trisha Domingo were just two best friends chasing the same dreams. In the heart of Manila, born and raised in Quezon City, they weren't sisters by blood, but by every other measure. They were family. Lucia, 28, was the quietone, the kind who found comfort in order, in lists, in routines. She worked as a medical records coordinator at Manila Doctors Hospital, earning 35,000 pesos a month. Her co-workers said she never left her desk messy and never missed a birthday. Trish, 29, was hair-opposite in every way, outgoing, spontaneous, and endlessly curious. She worked in digital marketing for a company, making 42,000 pesos a month. Her friends described her as the kind of woman who could walk into a room full of strangers and leave with a dozen new friends. They met at Street Mary's Academy and grade school. Two girls always sat together at lunch. Through school, through college, at the University of Stomas, they stayed side by side studying, celebrating, surviving. By 2019, they'd moved into a one-bedroom apartment in Makati, a tiny place filled with laughter, late-night karaoke, and promises that they'd always look out for each other. They weren't just friends anymore. They were home to each other, but sometimes even the people we trust most, the ones who know our laughter, our secrets, our fears, carry the kind of truth that no one ever sees coming. Every week had its rhythm. Sundays were for Mass at Quapo Church, always the same pew, always side by side. Saturdays were their escapade rocky nights in tiny bars, singing until their voices cracked. Fridays meant movies and takeout, curled up on their worn couch, arguing over which film to watch next. They had survived everything together. The empty wallets, the late tuition payments, the nights they split one pack of instant noodle sands, still laughed about it. They shared food, clothes, heartbreaks, and dreams so big they barely fit in their tin apartment. In their barcota, every neck knew them as the inseparables. If you saw one, the other wasn't far behind. They finished each other's sentences, remembered each other's stories, and defended each other fiercely. Their bond wasn't just friendship. It was the kind of love that only years of struggle could forge. But what happens when the person you trust most holds the key to your final hours? Trish had been in a steady relationship for 4 years with Vincent Salazar, a 31-year-old corporate tight specialist. To outsiders, they looked solid, the kind of couple that had already planned the wedding playlist and chosen baby names. But beneath the smiles, something had started to shift. Trish had become unexpectedly popular online. Her casual posts and travel snaps gained her over 8,000 followers. To her, it was fun, harmless. But to Vincent, it felt like losing her one photo at a time. Friends recall him saying she's always on her phone now. At first, it sounded like harmless frustration, until it wasn't. Lucia had always been the third wheel, the quiet constant in their relationship, shedded along for dinners, vacations, even Sunday errands. Vincent never seemed to mind. At least that's what Avirion thought, until subtle glance turned into silence, and silence turned it into something far heavier. Something Noon noticed until it was too late. It was posted on March 23, 2024 at exactly 6:47 a.m. A picture of pure joy. To best friends about to live their dream, every like, every heart, every comment. None of them knowing they were witnessing a goodbye. In 72 hours, only one of them would be coming home. November 4th, 2023, the night of the Charity Gala. Among the city's most powerful and polished, one name didn't quite fit the crowd. 28-year-old Lucia Fernandez. She wasn't a socialite or a businesswoman. She was there because her hospital had bought a tablet and she'd been chosen to represent them. She came prepared, calm, and hopeful. grateful for the chance to be in the same room as the people funding the very hospital she worked for. She didn't know it yet, but this night would change everything. That's when she met Rashid Al-Zahrani, 42 years old, a Saudi Arabia business magnate whose name appeared on the donor board of more than a dozen hospitals across Southeast Asia. Rashid came from old wealth: oil, real estate, tech. His family's net worth was estimated at $1.8 billion. Married to Amira Al-Zahrani since 2009. Father to 3 children aged 12, 10, and 7. To the world, he was a philanthropist, the kind who turned profit into purpose. In Manila, he wasn't chasing pleasure. He was exploring opportunities in medical tourism. And it was that same topic that drew him to Lucia. She spoke about the gaps in healthcare access, the problems no one wanted to admit. Her insights, precise, informed, and passionate, caught his attention. He handed her his card and said, "I'm always interested in perspectives from people who understand the system from the inside." It wasn't flirtation, it was respect, an intellectual spark, not dramatic tension. Security footage later confirmed it. No handshake slinked, no glances overstayed. Just 2 strangers sharing ideas in a crowded ballroom. No red flags, no secrets, no notion of what that meeting would set in motion. And yet, this was the first thread in a story that would unravel everything she thought she knew about Rust, ambition, and love. From November to January, something unusual began, a pattern only visible in hindsight. Phone records show 63 calls over 3 months. Always late at night in Manila, early morning in Dubai. Their conversation scoffed everything: healthcare, culture, family, dreams, even philosophy. What began as a polite exchange grew into a genuine friendship. Lucia would smile whenever his name lit up her phone. Shuttled Trish about him, calling him her new friend from Dubai. Trish didn't see a problem. In fact, she was happy for her. She'd say, "Good for you, girl." Finally, someone who listens. But Vincent, Trish's boyfriend, wasn't as amused. He only said one thing: "Just be careful. Rich guys always want something." It sounded protective or maybe suspicious. No one thought much of it. Then, by late December, Rashid returned to Manila on business. He invited both Lucia and Trish to dinner, an unexpected gesture that felt generous, maybe even kind. But what happened next caught everyone off guard. He treated them to a spending spree most could only dream of: designer clothes, fine dining, luxury, spa treatments, all paid for without hesitation. And yet, he never crossed a line. No flirting, no suggestive remarks, just conversation, connection. For Lucia, it wasn't about money or attraction. It was about being seen, valued for her mind, her thoughts, her insight. She felt respected, not pursued. Trish too was included in everything. To them, Rashid wasn't a stranger anymore. He was a friend who happened to live in another world. Before leaving, he gave them each an envelope, $500,000 pesos in cash, $10,000. Inside, a handwritten note: "Thank you for showing me the real Manila." Neither of them could have guessed that this act of generosity, the one they thought ended there, was just the beginning of something far more complicated. The money changed everything. To Trish, it was generosity. To Vincent, it was a threat. Friends would later say that argument never really ended. It just went quiet. And in quiet, resentment grows. According to forensic psychologist Dr. Melissa Rodriguez, this is where obsessive control begins. When a partner feels power slipping away, they don't always lash out right away. They wait. They calculate. They find the moment where control can return. January 18th, 2024. Lucia discovers she's pregnant. It wasn't planned, and it wasn't forced. After Rashid's December visit, they had spent one night together, an impulsive decision between 2 adults caught in emotion and uncertainty. She told Trish first, then hours later, she called Rashid. His reaction was measured: shock, silence, then a promise: "I need time to think," he said, "but I won't abandon you." Days later, another message: "I'll support you, but I can't be public about this, but you'll never struggle." But someone else found out too. Vincent. Trish told him in confidence, "Lucia needs our support." He nodded, seemed understanding, but his browser history told another story. Behind that calm exterior, something darker was forming, a fixation that mixed jealousy, control, and fear of losing one thing he thought he still controlled. On February 21st, Rashid extended an invitation. Both Lucia and Trish were to visit Dubai. All expenses paid. "Come see my world," he wrote. "Let's discuss the future properly." That trip was set for March 23rd to 29th. First-class tickets, a 5-star hotel, and spending money. For Lucia, it was a step toward clarity to talk about the pregnancy, her future, what came next. For Trish, it was simple. Her best friend was facing a life-changing moment, and she wasn't going to let her face it alone. March 22nd, 2024, 7:00 p.m. Vincent insisted on hosting a farewell dinner. "Let me give you a proper send-off," he said. Just the three of them and his tig, adobo, pancit, lubia, the comfort foods they all grew up with. He told Lucia, "I know you're not drinking alcohol." She thanked him, took a few sips, and laughed about thesaurus. Moments later, she mentioned it feeling lightheaded. "Just pre-flight jitters," she said. What Lucia didn't was that her body was now carrying something far more dangerous than new life. Vincent had mixed a small amount of diluted agricultural pesticide into the juice, a chemical he'd quietly purchased from an agri-supply store in Laguna 3 days earlier. If this story has you on edge, hit that like button and subscribe, because what happens next will leave you completely speechless. March to 3rd, 2024. After 8 hours in the air, Emirates Flight 335 touched down at 11:45 p.m. in Dubai. The air smelled like expensive perfume and ambition. Even the marble floors of the airport shone so brightly you could see your reflection in every step. At 12:23 a.m., Lucia's passport was stamped. 1 minute later, Trish they were met at the terminal by a man in a crisp gray suit, introducing himself simply as Khalid Rashid's personal assistant. The ride felt like a dream. Glass towers, quiet streets, a city that never seemed to sleep. Every corner looked like a movie set. And yet, beneath the shimmer of golden glass, something felt just slightly off. Like the silence was too perfect. They were taken to room 2847 on the 28th floor with a view so breathtaking it looked unreal. The suite alone was bigger than their entire apartment in Makati. 2 bedrooms, crystal chandeliers, a marble bathroom with gold faucets. Inside dual-cam gifts weighted designer handbags, spa vouchers, and 150,000 pesos each in spending money. Alongside of them, a note written in perfect penmanship. "Rest today. Tomorrow we talk properly. Rashid." Both women call it home, voices bright with excitement. For them, it felt like the start of something extraordinary, a trip that promised new beginnings. She sent the message to Vincent. 2 words, simple, cold, and yet somehow they carried more weight than she could ever imagine. March 24th, day 1 in paradise. The morning began with a breakfast spread worth 8,500 pesos, eggs flown in from Europe, juice pressed fresh from imported oranges. Rashid was nowhere to be seen. "Meetings," he said. But his assistant Khalid was there. Always spotlight, always distant. They spent that day like tourists. To best friends dripped into a billionaire's playground. To 87,000 pesos in shopping. The Burj Khalifa observation deck, a desert safari at sunset. The kind of day that makes you forget real life ever existed. But as the sky darkened, so did their questions. Why invite us if he's too busy to see us? Trish wondered aloud. Lucia didn't answer. She just smiled weakly and looked out into the fading light. March day 2. Another message from Rashid. More meetings. Another promise. Tomorrow celebrate. So they filled Thessalons with luxury. 45,000 pesos at Thetisa Spa. Lunch over the water at Purikik. More shopping. More waiting. But something was changing. Lucia felt more tired than usual, dizzy. She told Trish, maybe it's the pregnancy. And for the first time, fear crept into her excitement. She began to touch her stomach more often, absently, protectively, as if trying to reassure herself everything was still okay. At time, the messages seemed caring, supportive, but looking back, they felt different. Not like concern, but like surveillance. 2 days in paradise, 2 days without answers, and somewhere thousands of miles away, someone was already planning how this story wouldn't. March 26th, day 3. 6 p.m. Still no sign of Rashid. No calls, no explanations, just unanswered message sound polite. Excuses from his assistant. For the first time, the magic of Dubai begins to fade. Lucia's frustration boils over. Her voice trembles, not from anger, but from exhaustion. Did we come all this way for nothing? She asks. Trish reaches for her hand. Maybe something serious came up, she sisyphally. We'll figure it out. We always do. They eat quietly, 32,000 pesos for dinner. They barely taste bottled Masafi water untouched after one sip. Outside, the city hums with energy. Inside, they sink deeper in town certainty. Later that night, they talk about everything. The pregnancy, the future, the what-ifs. What if he doesn't want to be involved, Lucia whispers. Trish smiles faintly. Then we go home and figure it out ourselves. We always do. At 9:30, they decide to sleep. Early, exhausted. But Lucia feels different tonight. Heavier, weaker. I'll feel better tomorrow. She murmurs, Trish nods, smiles, and disappears into her room. Neither of them knew that tomorrow will bring answers, but not the kind they were hoping for. March 27th, 6 a.m. Lucia wakes up suddenly. She's nauseous, cramping. At first, she thinks it's just morning sickness. She moves slowly, one hand on her stomach, searching for relief. She decides to make ginger tea. Boiling water, 1 tea bag, a sip, then another. But what she doesn't know is that the boiling water has just triggered something. Something Galletti inside her. The diluted pesticide in her bloodstream reacts to heat, releasing toxins faster than her body can handle. Within 15 minutes, her body starts to fail. Violent nausea, tremors. She crawls toward the bathroom, trying to breathe, trying to stay conscious. Trish hears it, a sound Nafran should ever hear. She runs into Lucia's room and finds her collapsed on the bathroom floor. Lucia's conscious but barely. Her skin pale, her lips trembling. My stomach. Trish, something's wrong. The baby. Trish calls hotel emergency line, voice breaking. My friend is pregnant and she's please send help now. 7 to aim hotel security arrives. Lucia's unconscious. Trish is screaming, begging Simeon to do something. Paramedics are called. Response time 9 minutes. Place 7-11.m. The ambulance arrives. Lucia's vital signs are critical. Trish climbs in beside her, clutching her hand, whispering over and over, You're going to be okay, Lucy. Stay with me. Please stay with me. 7:34 a.m. Lucia is rushed into emergency care. Doctors fight to stabilize her. Machines scream warnings. Outside, Trish sits alone in the waiting area, praying, shaking, sending desperate messages home. Please pray for Lucia. Something's very wrong. At 11:47 a.m., after 4 hours of failed resuscitation attempts, Lucia Fernandez is pronounced dead. Multi-organ failure, cause unknown. Pregnancy lost. Trish scream echoes through the hospital corridor. Raw, endless, heartbroken. No, please, not her, please. Lucia Fernandez was 28 years old, 11 weeks pregnant. She had traveled 6,000 miles to discuss her future. Instead, she died in a cold hospital floor, surrounded by strangers, while the person responsible was 6,000 miles away, pretending to care. Dubai police open an investigation. First suspect, Rashid Al-Zurani, filthy businessman. With everything to lose, hotel staff questioned. Food samples tested. Every result comes back clean. For 3 days, they searched the wrong place, the wrong man, the wrong motive. Because the truth, the real killer was waiting quietly in Manila, watching it all unfold. March 29, 2024. Dubai Forensic Laboratory. Drive. Hassan Al-Mansouri, chief toxicologist, examines the final toxicology reports from Lucia Fernandez's autopsy. What happens changes everything. Lucia's blood contains trace levels of a rare organophosphate pesticide, an industrial-grade chemical banned in several countries. But here's what shocks investigators. Trish's blood is completely clean. No toxins, no contamination, nothing. They ate the same food, drank the same water, stayed in the same suite. So, How Isonly One Woman Poisoned. The chemical profile tells a story. This was a accidental exposure. It required a deliberate introduction, measured, intentional. The pesticide is designated for agricultural use, capable of infiltrating the bloodstream gradually, lying dormant until triggered. At room temperature, it causes mild nausea, but when exposed to high heat after several days inside the body, like boiling water used for tea, it transforms. The heat accelerates the compound's toxicity, turning a trace chemical into a fatal dose within minutes. Dubai policy conduct a full sweep. Every food item tested, clean. Water supply tested, clean. The kettle clean. Room service staff cleared. Kitchen staff cleared. There's no sign of tampering anywhere in the hotel. The murder weapon wasn't in Dubai. It was just activated there. March 30th, 2024. The Philippine National Police Criminal Investigation and Detection Group officially joins the case, with Dubai authorities reaching a dead end. The investigation shifts home to Manila. Detective Carmela Reyes, a 17-year veteran with a reputation for noticing what others overlook, is assigned to lead the Philippine side of the investigation. Her first step, a video interview with Trish Domingo, still reeling from her best friend's death. Trish recounts the days before they left, March 21st and 22nd normal workdays. Then the night before their flight, a farewell dinner at Vincent's apartment. He cooked their favorites, adobo, pancit, lubia, comfort food. But what stood out was a single glass. Detective Reyes requests Vincent Salazar's phone logs, credit card statements, and a search warrant for his apartment. When investigators dig into his digital history, what they find turns the entire investigation upside down. When Detective Reyes' cyber unit pulled Vincent Salazar's digital records, the mask finally came off. What they uncovered wasn't grief, it was calculation. His browser history between January 19th and March 21st reads like a blueprint for murder. How to cause miscarriage naturally, chemicals that terminate pregnancy, pesticide toxicity, pregnant women, undetectable poison, symptoms of food poisoning versus poisoning. How long does poison stay in system? Heat-activated chemical compounds, 63 searches, 2 months for search, every click, a step closer to killing Lucia. Then the purchase March 19th, 2024, 4,350 pesos at Agri Supply Laguna. Recipe description to 150 milliliters concentrated organophosphate pesticide. Listed purpose foreign or plant care. The search of his apartment confirmed it all. A measuring spoon with matching residue. A glass and dishwasher containing trace toxins, chemical residue in the kitchen sink. And hidden deep in his bedroom closet, a half-empty pesticide bottle. Every sample matched the compound found in Lucia's blood. His messages to Trish read like a countdown. He wasn't checking in. He was tracking the poison's progress, waiting to see if his plan worked. After 12 days of investigation, the trail of digital bedrooms led straight back to Manila. On April 2nd, 2024, Vincent Salazar was arrested at his office in Bonifacio, Global City. He didn't resist. He advanced for the cameras. At first, he needed everything. But love wasn't what drove him. Control was. Browser history, receipts, toxicology reports, the pesticide bottle. Piece by piece, the facade crumbled. Vincent confessed everything. The planning, the purchase, the dilution, the dosage calculation, the delivery method, the waiting, the checking. In all of it, Rashid Al-Zahrani, the billionaire everyone suspected was innocent. He cooperated fully, paid for Lucia's repatriation, and later quietly established a scholarship fund in her name. The mysterious billionaire everyone suspected he was innocent. The loving boyfriend everyone trusted. He was the killer. From June to August 2024, the trial of the people versus Vincent Salazar consumed national headlines. What began as a tragic death abroad had become one of the most shocking murder cases in recent Philippine history. Vincent was charged with 3 counts: murder, infanticide, and international poignant conspiracy, a rare charge that invoked cooperation between the Philippine and UAE governments. The defense argued it was a tragic mistake. The prosecution called it what it was: calculated murder. Experts explained how the organophosphate compound reacted to heat, turning a low dose into a fatal LONI. The science was irrefutable, and undeniable. It was the emotional breaking point of the trial. Even seasoned reporters wept. In that courtroom, every word was a wound and every silence a reminder of what had been lost. He begged for mercy, but the prosecution had already dismantled history. Vincent Salazar was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, and ordered to pay $5 million in damages to the Fernandez family. After 182 days of grief, testimony, and truth, justice was finally served. But for those left behind, closure would never come easily. 1 year after the tragedy, the ripples of Lucia Fernandez's death continued to shape every life she touched. Every March 27th, they hold an annual mass. Her mother says it's not to relive the pain, but to remind the world that Lucia's life still means something. Rashid Al-Zahani, the man once cast as a villain, paid for Lucia's repatriation and funeral. He later established a high $22 million scholarship fund for Filipino medical students in her name. He never spoke publicly about the case. He simply went home to his wife, his children, and his silence, the man everyone suspected, became the one who honored her memory. The man everyone trusted became the one who ended her life. And somewhere between those truths lies the story of how love, jealousy, and control can turn fatal. Lucia Fernandez was 28 years old, smart, kind, careful. She did everything right. She confided in her best friend. She planned for her future. She looked for support instead of secrecy. And still she died not because of a stranger in a foreign land, not because of a powerful man with unclear motives. She died because Mion, who claimed to love her best friend, saw her as a threat to his control. This story exposes a chilling truth. The most dangerous person in your life might be the one sleeping beside you, the one who says, "I'm just worried about you," the one who asks, "Where are you going?" every time you step outside, the one who says it's love while cutting you off from the people who care about you. Control disguised as care is still control. Jealousy disguised as protection is still jealousy. And in Vincent Salazar's case, that control became murder. If someone makes you feel like you need permission to live your life, that's a red flag. If they monitor your every move and call it concern, that's a red flag. If they isolate you and label it love run, Lucia never got chance to run. But you do. If history moved you, shocked you, or opened your eyes to the hidden dangers of controlling relationships, do 3 things right now. 1. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. Your engagement helps spread awareness. 2. Share this video with someone you love. You might save a life. 3. Leave a comment below. Was there a moment in Vincent and Tricia's story that felt familiar?